Greetings, motherfuckers. Burnside is out getting drunk at a party. So it is Terracin, who is your host this evening. I have with me Queenie, the Dick Doxer, and Director Arcater. And
Right.
I have to mute myself just a moment, so if you'll excuse me.
Greetings.
Hello, Director. Hello, I'm Queenie the Dick Doxer.
Greetings, officially Dick Doxer, Queen of the South, and Derrickson. I'm, of course, Director Arcta of Arcta Labs. My previous live stream, if anyone is hypothetically watching who watched that, you will understand why in my present state I am barely conscious, and this could result in hilarity, but it could also result in me just awkwardly falling over and snoring loudly.
Well, the reason why I had to mute myself is because Scooby just called me back on Discord, and he'll be in momentarily.
Right, that's very good. So the conversation might persist in the event that I do awkwardly tip over and start snoring loudly.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen.
I'm doing my best.
All right, so Arcater, what have you been up to? I mean, honestly, I rarely watch anyone's streams.
No, first off, perish the thought, I bear no ill will if you aren't catching my streams. Anyone who is interested in my streams should watch them, but if you don't catch them, I can hardly criticize because, quite frankly, of my own schedule, I barely watch my own content. This has been a bit of a problem, really. My last canned content video was Halloween, and I hope to have a Christmas video out tomorrow, but we'll see. I will be catching up my content eventually, but I am proud of the fact that to date I have maintained a fairly regular live stream series. Damn it, I am torn. I like Director, so I don't want to troll, but I also really enjoy trolling. Anti-hero broadcast, by all means, troll. Troll me if you see fit. On that note, should you... Look, if you're expecting a dramatic overreaction to something you say in text, you can perish the thought right now. The major threat at present is, again, that I'm going to just straight up pass out. It's not the sort of thing that one takes pride in initiating necessarily.
This is true. Yeah, we've actually been sitting in another hangout talking since like what, 5-ish?
Yes, and I was highly caffeinated for that part, which made it easier, but the caffeine is on its way out, so...
Did you already drink an entire pot?
Pretty much, yes. And any given dose of caffeine generally has a lifespan around 2 hours from when it's imbibed, so we've kind of... we're on the tail end of that, too. I know his great crime, of course, was horribly... No! Most kind anti-hero broadcast, but please don't adjust your plans for my sake. I don't know what they are, but I'll be fine, I think. I don't know what I'm arguing for at this particular point.
Oh, right now it's just chit-chatting. I generally, usually Burnside and Scooby are the ones that have a subject. I usually don't unless, there's something in particular I really, really want to talk about.
But very flattering around your broadcast to, not for respect of me, even though I'm not necessarily certain in my present context I deserve respect, because quite frankly, I'm a grown-ass man who should know better. Well, look, this probably wouldn't have happened if I remembered I was supposed to be on this stream precisely, in which case I probably would have restructured my schedule so I would have drunk on the last stream with the guest and would be completely sober at this particular point. but I forgot and was reminded at the last minute, which compelled me to rearrange my schedule to be here, but not necessarily as sober as I should be. I am sober now, sort of, but this is somewhat compensated by the fact that I'm, at this point, tremendously tired because the alcohol's worn off and so is the caffeine. And so basically I'm just babbling in a...
Yeah, that's okay. Sadly, I was having to reply to a text.
This is basically a lucid dream state at this point.
Oh, Scooby.
What's going down?
Semi-lucid dream
Trying to
state.
get Burnside's drunk ass on here.
Yeah, you should actually.
I'm trying. I called him. I texted him. I messaged him.
What about Irvin Parks?
I sent them links.
I think Parks said he was doing some sort of stream because they had technical difficulties earlier, so they had to reschedule for around this time. And I think Irv was actually trying to get caught up on videos that he's been like, I don't know, slacking on. So, I don't know. I guess you could always try Wolfie or whoever. But in the meantime,
I sent him a link too.
All right, cool. So what's going down?
Yeah, Mr. Wolf, he's okay, dude.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's good people. Works a lot. God bless him. Ugh.
Works too much, in my opinion. Sometimes he was working 8 days a week for a while there.
Yeah. My father used to do that when I was a kid. You know, he worked a lot of hours. You know, and I think I told you in the summer. Yeah. In summer into the fall, we used to have the crabbing business, you know. Ugh. Tend to miss the old man around this time of year, you know. It's part of why.
Go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's part of why you got to make this year, you know, this time of year count. You know, you got to try to not just have a good time, but try to do good by other people. You know, yeah. You see somebody who's not doing too good, you know, you try to help them out.
Yeah, this time of year is rough for me because it was my mom's favorite time of year, and this year will be 10 years without her.
Mm-hmm. That's it's 10 years this year for me without my father. He passed away. It was 10 years this summer.
We are all going to die. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to do. You should remember that. You know, you got to remember we are all going to die because make it count with the time you got. You know, make Christmas count. Enjoy it. Make the most of it. You know, it's going to sound corny as hell, but one of the best things you could probably do this time of year is, you know, volunteer. If you got time and you can afford to spare it, you know, if you don't have a lot of relatives, you don't do anything for the holidays, volunteer your time and try to help out the needy. You know, Toys for Tots, volunteer at the soup kitchen. You know, you could go down to any local church, synagogue, mosque, any house of worship, and they usually have an outreach program for the holidays. Just go in and ask them if they need a hand. You know? I don't know. That's the thing I think of this time of year. You know?
No, this much is actually pretty solid advice. Just because you need to adjust your perspective sometimes, and always keep in mind that however bad things might seem on a personal level, it can always be worse.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people make themselves miserable because they're always looking at random asshole who's doing better than they are, but that doesn't actually help. If you look at the people who've had worse luck than you, then you're more likely to appreciate what you have. Whereas if you're always looking at the person who has things better than you are, than you have, then you're just going to be a miserable asshole. It's just bad policy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I think it was because I was raised by my father, may he rest in peace. He was very traditionalist Catholic. And I was actually taught, like, deserve is a dirty word. You know, deserve only goes hand in hand with punishment. You don't deserve anything. You want something, you get up and you earn it. And I think that's a lot of what's wrong with this world. People, they scream about the things that they deserve. You don't deserve nothing. Nobody's entitled to anything. Not even a grave. You think about it. Back in the day, that's part of the reason they made graveyards, was so people could guard the graves so they wouldn't get dug up by animals and eaten. Part of the reason they started putting bodies in coffins. I don't know why. Person's dead, but whatever. You know? Happy holidays.
I think what started the coffins was the fact that sometimes plants would start growing over the body parts, and you would end up getting body parts coming up and in the plants.
Yeah, that would probably be really disturbing. You're going down the street and you see Uncle Vito. He's sitting there growing up out of a pear tree. Yeah, that would probably give me nightmares.
Yeah. One of the Children of Corn movies, I think it was the last one where they were in like that apartment complex that was surrounded by a cornfield. You look at the corn and it's got human teeth in it. It has a scene where they look at and they peel back some of the corn and you see human teeth in there.
Yeah, that's some like disturbing shit.
What?
Like,
wait, what? Corn teeth?
Yeah.
By the time I actually do get to sleep at this point, which could be some time yet, I should note that you've probably set me up for some just colossally terrifying nightmares, so thank you in advance.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with all those movies. I think I stopped watching them. I remember when they made the one in the 90s, I think it was Children of the Corn 2. And that scared me because the guy and his kid, they were both from Long Island. Like, the kid says it at one point when they're talking. And that immediately, like, throttled me. Like, what the hell? I don't know. I guess just because the kid was, like, a local, it, like, touched base with me. Like, that movie actually, at that point, it was scary. Like, it wasn't, if it was some local person, like it wasn't the first movie, I wouldn't give a shit. But, once you realize it's somebody like me, like, oh, shit. I don't know. It strikes more close to home, I guess.
Yeah, Children of the Corn is the movie why I won't go into cornfields.
Well, I can think of dozens of reasons why I wouldn't go into cornfields, but that is on the list also. I got no business being in a cornfield. Seriously, there's no reason for me to wander into a cornfield. Unless I'm chasing aliens and I have a camera, I'm not going into a cornfield.
You're not going to pull an M. Night Shyamalan with the movie Signs?
Yeah. Unless I have, like, a couple of water bottles with me.
I actually like that movie. What other movies has he made? I know he made Split. I haven't seen that movie. I heard it's a really good movie.
He also made Lady in the Water and The Village.
I haven't seen those two. I've heard of Lady in the Water and The Village.
He also did Signs.
Yeah, I saw that one.
His dumbass did Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, I heard of that one. No, I've heard to stay away from that one. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And wasn't that Avatar: The Last Airbender? Wasn't that that's a Japanese anime, isn't it? Like, it was a cartoon.
Oh no, actually,
Nickelodeon.
The story.
Look, there's been a bit of a scandal. I'm sorry, I'm not terribly lucid right now, but the original Last Airbender thingy, apparently it was by the same team that was responsible for The Legend of Korra, but it was awful because all of the talent that went into The Last Airbender was basically fired before The Legend of Korra, which does a lot to explain why The Legend of Korra was such steaming garbage. The people who got the credit for creating Last Airbender were, in fact, complete garbage hack bastards. who would be the sort of assholes who would have sold the whole damn thing to M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Look, I am in no condition to pronounce that correctly, even if I really wanted to.
Just say M. Night shit on. There you go.
He, it's funny. He did Unbreakable, and then he did Split,
Mm-hmm.
and the third one comes out now. I think it's either now this month
Glass.
or yeah, I want to go see that definitely. I said I wasn't going to go see any Hollywood movies, but yeah, I'm definitely going to go see that. I'm going to probably, break my little boycott of Hollywood just to see that movie in the theater, just because it's the third part of a trilogy, and I'm really curious as to see like what's going to happen with it. You know?
Yeah, I want to see it, but I haven't seen Split. I've seen Unbreakable.
This might be a Christmas stream. I have no idea. Someone asked. I had my Christmas stream some time ago. We sang some Christmas carols. It was great fun. What?
It's not really.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know.
I am very questionably lucid at this point.
Go make yourself another pot of coffee.
American Jason? I'm not certain I'm awake right now.
No, this is. I normally wear the fishing hat, but it's it is the weekend before Christmas, so I figure why not? I break out my Santa hat, but it's a pretty big one.
The Santa hat I get, it's the.
Oh, the hockey mask. I wear it all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, it's my.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've seen it, and I have to say it's kind of freaking me out.
Here, let me show you. I usually wear the mask with this hat. This is my usual motif. I usually dress it this way, but since it's Christmas, I figured why not? I wear the Santa hat.
Yeah, the Santa hat's very. Look, I'm hardly going to criticize you for wearing the Santa hat. If I mean, I really don't have grounds to criticize someone for wearing a Santa hat, especially in the present context, because while I am really not 100%, I'm not that far gone. I'm not sure if I could be, actually. But, just American Gladiator Jason kind of threw me off for a bit there.
It's all good. You can call me Scooby.
That would have made the show a lot more
everybody with giant Q-tips. That's what I always thought when they were doing the Gladiator and they were hitting each other with those giant Q-tips. That's what I called them. I'm like, why are they using giant Q-tips? What the fuck?
Oh, when they were jousting, yeah. I always loved that myself. We used to have something where you could actually do that up over by me, but naturally, and I even said it when it was first up there, I said, okay, somebody's kid is going to get hurt because he's an idiot. They're going to get sued and they're going to take this thing out. And sure enough, that's what happened. Like, without fail. I miss shows like that, American Gladiators. What was the other one they had? American Ninja, where you had to go and grab the.
You still have American Ninja.
We do still have that one? Okay, cool. I don't watch television, so I couldn't tell you.
Only they go through an obstacle course now.
Even better. I'll be honest, I seen that American Ninja shit the first time I seen it. I said they should actually include this in the stuff the Navy SEALs got to do. Seriously, give them just that extra oomph of training. And I'm sure they're going to say, well, when is that going to be a real world thing? Well, why not just train them that good anyway? You think about it, seriously, you think that the SEALs are good now. No offense to any SEALs who are watching this, by the way. I mean, mad respect. I'm just saying, guys, get yourselves that extra bit of training. You know what I'm saying? That to me, seriously, if they were just going to, I know a bunch of people, of the military persuasion who would probably leap at an opportunity like that. If they were going to be able to just train every day on that obstacle course, they'd love it. Just a thought I had.
I like to know what the guy says in the chat. Does my face ever heal? What the fuck from? The only injury I ever had to my face was was diagnosed with epilepsy 2 years ago, and I ate fucking concrete, and
yeah, you tell me about
that. Other than that, my face has never been fucked up.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Trying to get a sneeze out and it won't come out.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So did everyone get all their shopping and everything done?
Yep.
Yeah.
I already gave the roommate an alarm clock. I gave it to her. I want you to go ahead and have it. And it's one that we can make a personalized recording. So we're going to have her son scream into it for 15 seconds. Mommy! That way, every morning she wakes up to her son screaming at her.
Oh, that's good.
Because she'll wake up to his voice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's good. It makes sense. Like, I was always saying, like, I should get one for my wife, where I said it, though, and she punched me in the back of the head. I said I was going to get her an alarm clock that sounds like the Ice Cream Man. Yeah, it didn't go over too well. We're going to be together. I think it's 17 years this February. And
congratulations.
Thanks. I love her with all my heart. And it's when you get so comfortable with somebody that you love them, you tend to bust each other's shoes. Like, she screws with me constantly, and she's mean. I at least am playful. She's mean.
I'm not laughing at that, Scooby. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at what you said.
It's okay.
I'm laughing at the chat. This is just fucking ridiculous and fucking hilarious at the same time.
Bye, Ray. Well, I'm glad that the chat is having fun. Good evening, by the way, chat. I'm sorry I haven't addressed you sooner. How's everyone doing tonight?
It's our usuals that are in here that are trolling.
Nice.
No.
Like I said, hi, everyone.
my laugh is a fake ass laugh. No, it's not.
No, that's a real laugh. I've heard it before.
Oh, God. Oh, Sir Adamatine. Oh, nice to see you too. Nice to see everybody. Not really. Go fuck yourselves.
I don't see it, buddy.
All right. And then we're going to guilt somebody off the stream again.
Oh God, again with this shit. Where is Burnside, by the way?
I don't know. He was at a party.
Oh, God.
Sure. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to try and call him again.
Have fun with that. He always picks the worst times to go out partying, this guy. Oh, well. It is what it is. So let me ask you, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
You get snow down by you? I'm just curious.
Do we get what down by me?
Snow.
Oh, yeah. We just had it snow last week. We got over 10 inches.
I can blame the last time I saw snow.
Yeah. We got like 10 and a half, 11 inches of snow.
Nice.
It wasn't very common in Texas, and like whenever it did snow and iced over, people died because no one knows how to drive on it there.
Yeah, I ask because where I am in New York, I'm not connected to the mainland at all. I gotta take bridges and tunnels to get to and from. So I honestly have no idea where it stops snowing, like where the snow ends. You know, where people don't get snow anymore. Um, as far as I know, I figured once you get down to like the Carolinas, there's people never seen snow. I don't know how far down you go. Maybe Georgia.
No,
I'm not sure.
it snowed. I've been in Atlanta when it snowed. I've been in Alabama when it snowed. I've been in parts of Florida where it snowed. No, it's
See, I don't know these things. I figured that no one's seen snow. Like that's literally what I figured the Mason-Dixon line was. That's the cutoff for where there was snow. That's. I'm sorry. I really don't know that much about the geography, like weather patterns and whatnot.
the last big snow that we had
Hmm.
was back in '92. We got 18 inches, and it
Okay.
but we usually get between 6 to 8 if we're depending, just whatever comes our way. But yeah, it snows here all the time. We get hurricanes, we get tornadoes. We've had earthquakes recently. We had a 3.0 that hit in Tennessee,
Hmm.
and me living on the West Coast in California for 10 years, a lot of people that haven't experienced earthquakes, they normally don't feel it. But I felt it that night because I'm sitting here on my bed and my bed starts shaking, everything in the room starts shaking. But nobody else felt it around here. But the biggest earthquake I've ever been in was a 6.0, 6.2.
I couldn't imagine anything like that, like an earthquake. That's to me.
Out of all the natural disasters I've been in, hurricanes, tornadoes, flash flooding, earthquakes, out of all those, I'd rather be in an earthquake any day than be in a hurricane, because I remember I was only 3 at the time, but I remember Hurricane Hugo when it hit us. It was a Cat 5. And I remember like these huge sycamore trees, like just falling like bowling pins. Like it was one of the worst ones. And then we recently had Hurricane Florence over the summer, and from Lumberton down the coast, like Wilmington, it was all underwater. It was bad, and we got the remnants that was left off of Hurricane Florence. It got pretty bad here, but not as bad as when I was 3 years old and Hurricane Hugo came through.
Yeah. Like I remember when oh God, which one was it? I think it was
Sandy, Hurricane Sandy, when it hit y'all.
No, not even that one. I was gonna say the 100-Year Storm. What was the one that they made the movie about? The Perfect Storm.
Oh, I remember the movie. I have to look that up.
What had happened with that one? There was a lot of obviously storm surge, but I remember like going up over, like going to go onto the bridge to go over to see the ocean side, and it was one of the scariest things I ever saw, because what had happened was it wasn't really hitting us inland too much because of the barrier beaches, but I forget why the hell we were going over there. Don't ask me why. I think I was maybe 14 or 15 years old at the time. I think it was with some older teenagers being a shithead. And just seeing these monster waves when you're up on the bridge. Now, I had filmed a video of driving over that bridge, so you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a small 2-lane bridge that's about, oh God, a couple of 100 feet up in the air. And at a certain point, if when you get up there, you can see basically the entire Great South Bay, but you can actually see off in the distance the ocean, and it was frightening seeing the swells and the waves out there. It was holy shit.
That's gotta
But
be. No one's afraid of Antifa. Seriously, they're the most incompetent mob I've ever seen in my life. No, sorry, distracted. I'm really trying to remain lucid here.
It says The Perfect Storm, based on a true story. The film tells of the courageous men and women who risk their lives every day, every working day, pitting their fishing boats and rescue vessels against the capricious forces of nature. Their worst fears are realized at sea on Halloween of 1991 when they are confronted by three raging weather fronts which unexpectedly collide to produce the greatest, fiercest storm in modern history.
Yeah, Gloucester, Massachusetts. That's where they were at. And I remember now. Okay, it was Halloween. I think, I was about 12 years old. That's what it was. Yeah, I was probably off with. Yeah, I was probably snuck off with the teenagers, and probably because I just remember going over the bridge for this thing. And now, mind you, it wasn't like we weren't getting buckets of rain. It wasn't like it was safe driving. It was the clouds and everything were gathering. I think it was before the storm even hit.
Yeah,
You
it
know.
was says the 1991 perfect storm, also known as the no name storm, especially in the years immediately after it took place, and the Halloween gale slash storm was a nor'easter that absorbed Hurricane Grace and ultimately evolved back into a small unnamed hurricane late in its life cycle. The initial area of low pressure developed off Atlantic Canada on October 29th. Forced southward by a ridge to its north, it reached its peak intensity as a large and powerful cyclone. The storm lashed the east coast of the United States with high waves and coastal flooding before turning to the southwest and weakening, moving over warmer waters. The system transitioned into a subtropical cyclone before becoming a tropical storm. It executed a loop off the mid Atlantic states and turned toward the northeast. On November 1st, the system evolved into a full fledged hurricane with peak sustained winds of 75 miles an hour. Although the National Hurricane Center left it unnamed to avoid confusion, amid media interest in the precursor extratropical storm, it later received the name the perfect storm, playing off the common expression after a conversation between Boston National Weather Service forecaster Robert Case and author Sebastian Junger. The system was the 12th and final tropical cyclone, the 8th tropical storm, and 4th hurricane in the 1991 Atlantic hurricane season. The tropical system weakened, striking Nova Scotia as a tropical storm before dissipating.
Yeah. Then after that, I think we got hit with El Nino, and we had so much other fun stuff. Sandy was the thing you're talking about. That was 5 years ago. Um, yeah, what had happened with Sandy was I remember Sandy really vividly, very vividly actually. Yeah, the whole neighborhood just wound up underwater. It was just gone. You
This is
know.
a non sequitur, but does anyone remember the movie The Day After Tomorrow?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that
Yes, I
movie.
do. Yeah.
The movie itself was fairly fun, but the entire concept of that day after tomorrow, the world would freeze over and everyone dies, doesn't that just kind of seem counterproductive to the whole concept of climate change, which hypothetically is counterproductive to what they wanted to do with it?
Yeah. Well, I just look at it this way: climate change. We're not going to be able to stop it. I mean, I'll be honest. Like everyone, as somebody who used to work, like that's where I got injured. I got injured working for the Department of Environmental Control for the state, and they basically did the state mirror to the EPA, and we clean shit up. That's the long story short. We go and clean up all the crap that you see in like sumps when people dump crap in there, and it's you try to clean up everything and make it nice and pretty and whatnot. And the thing of it is, other than like pollution like that, we haven't really done too much to alter the planet. I know people are going to say all the shit that we released in the air, if anything, just made the jungles breathe more. They looked at the carbon count in the atmosphere. It hasn't gone up as high as they would like you to think it has. If anything, it's just promoted more plant life. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, there's been more plankton blooms because of a lot of the carbon that's been released. We've gotten a lot more. There's been a lot more things of that nature that have gone on. They talk about the shrinking ice caps. The ice caps look like they've been shrinking anyway since Dark Ages. So
Hypothetically, there's been some new ice growth, but my
yeah,
personal take on it is that there probably is climate change.
yeah,
And it probably is human generated, but the actual effect of it is not clearly
Well,
clear.
look at the Great Barrier Reef. It's due to the warming waters of the ocean. It's killed, and then the like bleaching, I believe it's called, if I recall correctly. It's killed it off. Like
mm-hmm.
it's and then the radiation and due to Fukushima, that leaking out everywhere, like it's caused the a lot of stress on the Great Barrier Reef, and it's killing off a lot of of the coral. Like it's
Yeah, I specifically said carbon though.
yeah,
I'm not trying to be a
I know.
dick. I'm just saying, like I was talking about, like what was released into the atmosphere and like climate change like that. I'm not talking environmental damage
Yeah.
in general. I mean,
Well,
oh Lord,
that has
yeah,
dealt with climate change. Like, yeah, we are going to have climate change.
mm-hmm.
That's normal, but um, with the ozone dissipating slowly, the uh, the icebergs and the and Antarctica like warming up and just like yeah, it's a lot of it is from us, us humans, and it's we can slow it down like we can't put stop it to a screeching halt, but we can slow it down. We can do things to reduce our carbon footprint. We can do things to slow down the ozone from dissipating.
Well,
Because
that's
that's
the funny thing right there. Here's the thing, and this applies to so many things. It really makes the head spin. There's climate change. It's probably human motivated. What the result of that will be is, of course, anyone's guess. It could be in the world. It could mean practically goddamn nothing. It could have saved the Earth from another ice age. No one really seems to actually know any sort of objective sense. So it's really sort of thing that's kind of hard to take serious when people start hyperventilating over it. Take, for example, you talk about these people talking about reducing their carbon footprint. Oh, they're not going to have any children because having a child raises such a colossal carbon footprint. Are often the exact same assholes who take jet trips everywhere because they think they've compensated sufficiently.
Yeah.
And they fly first class nonetheless.
Mm.
It's all scientific theory about climate change.
It's all more complex than people really want to admit, especially experts. Because, look, how often has your weatherman locally been right about fuck all?
exactly.
Exactly.
They've actually had people try to sue the local weatherman or the National Weather Service because they got the fucking weather wrong, and the shit that people will sue over.
Honestly, I just laugh at the weatherman when he gets the weather wrong. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. You have to realize what the weatherman is doing now. Just really quick for everyone who's watching. When you have the weather map that they're showing you the United States, how it's basically, again, and if there's people are gonna go running to correct me on this, they're showing you it's a base model of the United States. They're not factoring all of the man-made obstructions and other things that are actually going to affect the weather and cause drag on the fronts, cause the fronts to actually slowly change shape because they're moving around these things, such as the skyscrapers in different cities. You're going to have things like billboards. Believe it or not, you have billboards all over the place. Enough of those things that'll also affect the weather pattern. Things of that nature. There's actually enough man-made obstacles. Enough power lines at a power plant that are generating things. You see the conductors on top of the power plant. There's actually an electromagnetic field that's generated from that. There's enough of that there that will actually affect the weather that's coming in. So all of these things can't be figured in by most weathermen because they don't know the topography right off the top of their head. And just also it's trying to predict the weather. Seriously. It's weather. It's fickle.
Yeah, it's weather. It's fickle. It's unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. You know,
I mean, you can semi-predict it, but in the end, you're gonna get it wrong most of the time.
Well, in
Yeah.
the end, Mother Nature's a bitch and she'll do whatever the fuck she pleases.
Yes.
Yeah, the weatherman will say it's gonna be sunny, and Mother Nature will decide, nope, I'm gonna be a bitch today. I'm gonna make it rain cats and dogs
Mm-hmm.
and ruin your fucking fishing trip.
Yeah,
You gotta-
here. Oh, go ahead, Scooby.
I was just going to say, you got to think about weather as being two mediums against each other. Now you have the weather for the storm front that's coming in itself, and what the medium is that it's playing off of, be it dry land or be it water. Now, when you see the weather fronts coming across the water, they're easier to predict because water is always going to behave the same way. When you see the weather coming across the dry land, it becomes harder to predict because the dry land is always going to predict this. Is going to stay solid. It's not going to yield to the weather. So when you see the weather coming across the ocean, it's much easier for them to predict because the water is going to yield to the weather. The land does not yield to the weather. That's how come the storms, when they hit the dry land, it behaves. Bless you, behaves much differently than it does on the water. Because the water is going to be the weaker of the two mediums. It's going to yield to the weather, whereas the land is not going to yield. It's going to resist. That's why you get so much damage when the storm hits.
Mm-hmm.
Again, living right here, you're getting hit by these freaking things enough. You tend to learn this shit.
Well, it's like with the hurricanes and shit. Like, um, when we fear getting hit here in North Carolina, where I live in the part of North Carolina, we have to worry about hurricanes hitting Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because there's like a trough, and that's how Hugo hit us.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime it hits Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or anywhere in that area, it sucks it right up, and it just like turns. And like where I live at in the foothills, like it was really bad. Hugo was really bad. And like that's what we have to worry about. Or anytime it hits anywhere on the coast, whether it be North Carolina or South Carolina, we have to worry about getting hit if it sucks it up that way. If it brings it west.
Yeah.
Whenever there's hurricanes impending on Florida, we, me, my aunt, my uncle, we have a generator, concrete brick house, or excuse me, concrete block house, and we generally keep gallons of water as it is. We'll save just so many gallon containers, and we refill them. We use them throughout the time, but we make sure that they're filled. Fill up the tubs for bathroom water. The last one that hit Gainesville, there were some places that were out of power for 2 weeks and areas that were flooded for days.
Well, did you hear about that guy? He invested in this like rubber thing that goes like you fill it up with water, and everybody like his neighbors, and it was somewhere either in Florida or in the southern states. Like his neighbors were making fun of him. He spent like $2,500, $3,000 on this like inner tube, and you fill it up with water, and he put it around his house because the hurricanes were coming, and his neighbors made fun of him, like, oh, that's not going to keep the water back and nothing. No, it sure enough it did. He said like, nah, this was worth the investment because everybody else's house got flooded, but not his. It kept the water back. And like, and then you said Tara about having a generator. Like, yeah, like when Hugo came through, we have a motor home that has a generator on the back, but we had power because the power here is a 110. But we didn't have water because the water is a 243 phase, and the generator couldn't pull it. So we had power, but nobody else did. But we didn't have water.
Yeah. Here we use the generator to keep the fridge running. We rotate it out between it and the deep freezer. and during that time is when we charge our phones, charge batteries. We make sure to have plenty of candles. Pretty much everything you need. Have a book that you are either meaning to finish reading or wanted to start reading.
Right. I know we recently had a power outage, and there was we had an ice storm. There was no car accidents, no power poles, no power lines down, nothing. And it happened at about 3:30 in the morning. So from 3:30 until 6:30 the following evening, we didn't have power. Over 15,000 people were out of power. Like where we were at, we didn't have power. The Habitat for Humanity houses that are behind my mom's property, they didn't have power. But on further up on each side, they had power, but it was just, and then like where we were at and other parts, behind this, they didn't have power. And come to find out, it was just ice on the damn transformer that it needed to be de-iced. That was it. That's what caused the power outage. But it took them, because they didn't have any, personnel that would answer the phone at the, power company. 136 people reported it. And I actually called the news people in Charlotte and reported it, because like Duke Power wasn't doing a fuck all. Like, and we had been out of power for over 12 hours. It's like, finally, after I called them and reported to the news people, like, look, hundreds of us have, called the power company, and all we get is a recording, automated system. Oh, you've reported the power outage. We'll get to it as soon as possible. Text, this number to keep up to date on any, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like keep up to date on any, fuck, what am I trying to say? Like
updates.
Yeah, updates, but like any changes. There we go. Any recent changes, or if the power's come back on. But it finally took me calling the news people to let them know, like, look, Duke Power's not doing shit. Several people, that neighbors, so forth, that have to have power because they're on oxygen, they're elderly. Like, it finally, Duke Power finally came out and fixed the problem. Because we went all around town, like, seeing if we seen, who had power, who didn't, if we seen any Duke Power trucks, nothing. But it finally took, they came out and fixed the problem, and all it was fucking ice on the fucking transformer.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
And all they have to do is insulate those things, but then they got to insulate all of them, and it becomes cost prohibitive after a minute. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I got to take off this Santa suit. I'm starting to sweat like I'm in a sauna. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, what I don't understand, like, our power lines are underground, but like, you think that they would be able to, I don't know, like, able to put like transformers underground and shit, like, so you wouldn't have this problem, or make materials that can, sustain from freezing or accumulating anything on there that would cause a power outage.
Well, I mean, if they stuck the transformer underground, the problem is they would have to find some way to either make it easily accessible and make a rail system to pull it up, mm-hmm. or they'd have to dig it up every time there was something wrong with it. So that's the problem with putting it underground.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you on using better materials for the actual transformer itself, because it's kind of ridiculous, they waterproof the thing so it doesn't short out when it rains, but oh, when it ices over, hello, it breaks down.
Yeah.
I
Whose
mean,
little yapping dogs am I hearing?
Oh, it's my my mother's dogs. My brother and my nephew. My mom's car broke down. And they finally got it cranked because of the computer, the EPC, the electronic power control, has to do with the computer. They finally got our car home, and they're being stupid, hauling ass in his truck. So
ugh.
just burning rubber like in our
Are they
driveway.
grinding gears too?
Yeah.
I hate it when people grind their gears. It just annoys the crap out of me. I hear people when I'm on the road, they just go, and I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, learn how to shift. Put your clutch all the way in.
Yeah. So that's why the dogs were barking. But I have to say, he earned that truck. My nephew, my brother's kid, he's 16 years old. He goes to school, but he also does construction when he gets off from school. And he did a job for somebody, and of course they paid him, in cash, but also give him a brand new truck, a brand new Ford F-150. 16 years old. Yeah, it had like one little minor thing wrong with it. But no, it's a 2016, 2017 brand new Ford F-150.
Very nice. And even better, he earned it himself.
Yes.
So he will take care of it like he shelled out the cash himself.
Yes.
Shelled out all 50, 60,000, however much they cost. I haven't bought a new car in years. I buy them used so I can fix them up.
Right. Well, I'm currently, I have a 94 Mercedes-Benz E320 that my brother bought from this gentleman. He only bought it for $600, and he let me borrow the car, and I fell in love with it, and I begged him for months to give me the car or let me buy it off of him, and he finally agreed to it. So he's only selling it to me for $400. I already paid him $200, and I have the title. So, but I recently had to spend $228.73 on parts because
that was my next question. What's wrong with it?
Well, recently the carrier bearing and the rear flex disc went out. No. I need needs new brakes on it, so I bought that. The spark plugs and the ignition coil packs. So, but my ex-sister-in-law, his oldest son, mother, she works at a auto parts store, so she gives me discounts, and I have the receipt here. The most expensive part was the dry shaft coupler, which is the flex disc. It was originally $149. She gave it to me for $64. And
very nice.
The ignition coils were $80. I got them for $33 each.
Wow.
So yeah, those are the the most expensive things, like the drive shaft support bearing, which is the carrier bearing. It was originally $31. I got it for $13. And then the spark plugs were $4.62 each. I got them for $1.75.
Very nice.
And the brakes, the premium brakes that I purchased were originally $61. I got them for $24.
Yeah. So you remember last night how I was talking about the new truck I got? It had an ignition problem.
Mm-hmm.
So today I finished deconstructing the console, and I tested the ignition switch, and I got all the way down to the car. So I cleared all that crap, and I figure out all I needed was a new lock cylinder, a $13 part.
Wow.
Yeah, all I needed was a new lock cylinder, and it started up just fine. I was so mad. All I needed was a new lock cylinder and a fuse. I was so mad.
Yeah, my last car before this was a 96 Dodge Intrepid. It had a brand new motor put in, and then the transmission went out. It was my mom's car, and I made a deal with her: if I find a transmission, buy it and have somebody put it in, will you sign the title over to me? She's like, yeah, no problem. So I found a brand new transmission for $321 with the torque converter, and I paid my brother $200 to put it in, and she signed the title over to me. I recently got rid of that car 5 years ago, and when I drove it from North Carolina to California, when I got rid of it, it had close to 425,000 miles on it, just on the frame of the car. I put some miles on it, but that's the one thing about, I take care of my cars. I don't let nobody else drive my car. So that's the easiest way to tear up your car besides letting it sit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you let someone else drive your car, they're going to tear it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you got a manual and you let someone else drive it, oh, they're going to run that. They're going to burn the clutch out, and they're going to run that RPM meter all the way up to the red line.
Yep. I'm a stickler when it comes to driving my car.
That's why I hated my ex-husband driving my Chevy Blazer.
And I hate it when people run it all the way up to the red line. It pisses me off. It's like, you are tearing up my engine.
Mm-hmm. And they don't care because they don't have to fix it. I let one person drive my car and they end up wrecking it. And I bought the car back, and I ended up having to spend fuck all to fix it. And after that, no, you need whoever. I won't even let my own mom drive my car.
It's like, you want to drive my car? Give me $1,000 deposit.
Right. I'm like, you need to go. No, I'm like, you need to go somewhere. I'll take you wherever you need to go if your car's messed up or whatever.
Yeah,
but no,
gas.
You're not driving my car. Mm-mm.
You're not driving my car. Pay me gas, and I'll take you there myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta get a car. I really do. I found one. I just gotta get the money together to go get the thing. God willing, hopefully soon. Hopefully it's still there.
Take my advice. If it's less than $1,000, there's something seriously wrong with it.
No, it's not that low. I was thinking of actually financing the thing. A 5-speed sedan. I was probably gonna go at. It's like over in Cali. Yeah, I was actually gonna probably fly out there and drive the thing back. So why not? It's cheap. It's a cheap enough car. It's a 4-door sedan with a 5-speed and a sunroof. You don't usually find that. It's American made, so it's fine by me.
Yeah, I love American made.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind buying American made cars if they would hold their value. But that's the thing. They don't hold their value. Like my Mercedes-Benz is a 94 with 243,000 miles on it and still valued at $3,000. That's why I buy either European or, Japanese. I want something that's going to hold its value if I decide to resell it.
Well, I mean, that pickup in the driveway, if it didn't have so many problems with it, I probably would have paid about $3,000 for it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not looking to go a penny over $5,000 to spend on a vehicle. I'm looking for something that, I'm not even saying point A to point B. You can get a perfectly decent vehicle for about $1,000 to $2,000, somewhere within that ballpark. So
yeah, but be ready to do some wrench work on it.
It depends. It depends on what you're shooting for. You can buy something that's in great shape that's just ugly as sin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, like there's a couple of Fords, a couple of things put out by GM. Within
Never
like the
buy a
past.
Chevy Nova.
Yeah, well, I'm
That is
talking even anything in
probably
like
the worst car ever made.
they're great cars to tune though. If you get yourself a Nova and you just swap out the drivetrain, I remember my
More than the
brother.
drivetrain.
Yeah, well, you got to do the suspension. I mean, but it's what it is. A lot of people they get the Nova themselves. You get one of those things out of the junkyard. I'm remembering back when I was a kid. My older brother and his friends, and they get something at the junkyard, and they'd rip everything out of it and they'd put the newest shit into it. And again, they
Yeah.
would get like you go to the junkyard, you could buy a couple wrecked cars, like for whatever amount they were at the time. Again, I don't want to misquote anything here, but you get them for dirt cheap, and they pull the parts out of this one and pull the parts out of this one and the drivetrain
Yeah.
out of this one, and they'd make a Frankenstein out of it.
Yeah,
And,
chop the cars and chop the
yeah.
cars they bought,
Yeah,
stitch it together, basically.
My
yeah,
dad did that. He had two 96 Ford Thunderbirds. One was wrecked in the front, the other one's wrecked in the back. He sawed them in half and put them together. The one part that wasn't wrecked in the back, the other part that wasn't wrecked in the front, he put them together. And sure enough, he did. He sure did. He put it.
I totally believe you. I totally believe you. That's why it's so funny.
yeah. I actually I went out to Massachusetts with a friend of mine a couple of years ago, and I got the pictures somewhere. I got to find it. I'll send it to you when I find it. It's this car. It was famous. It was all over the news. Oh my God, at least 30 years ago now. And this guy took two cars and cut them in half and put them back together where it was two front ends. There was no back end to the car.
I
That
saw
way-
that picture.
I seen the actual car.
Oh
was
no.
It was for sale in a lot. We went up to Boston. He had to help his cousin and his cousin's girlfriend move up to I want to say Harvard. I don't know. I don't know what other schools are in that. What, Cambridge? I don't know what else.
Not do that, but what is the point of a push me pull you of cars?
I think what it was, the guy's concept was so he never had to back out.
In
Hey,
other
you
words,
come
he was
home.
lazy.
Only in America, baby. That's fine by me.
Is he coming or is he going?
Yeah, right. Seriously, and it's good innovation if you think about it. I mean, fuck. I was surprised that didn't take off when this guy did it. I was saying to myself, they're gonna probably do something like that in the next couple of years. Yeah, I still haven't seen Detroit come out with anything new. The only thing they did in the past couple of years was, okay, we're gonna get rid of steering wheels, and that didn't really go over well because everyone's like, we're used to steering wheels. We like them. What the hell are you doing? So
Why
I think
would
we're
you
gonna have
get rid of a
steering wheels.
steering wheel?
They were trying to give people joysticks, where you sit there like this, and you got a joystick on each side of you.
So fly by wire,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, that's what they wanted.
Yeah, get a cell phone jammer and the car goes dead. It essentially turns ballistic.
Yeah. I have a problem with that myself.
It's like that is the stupidest idea for a car ever.
Yeah. Like what movie was it? Was it the new Mission Impossible where they took over the DARPA cars and they turned them into like weapons?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, I'm good with that.
It's been a while since I've watched it.
Well, between that and what was it, Minority Report, where they could drive their own cars, and his car gets hacked, and then he starts getting chased by the big trash robots.
It's been a long while since I've watched Minority Report.
I got a thing about technology run amok and gonna kill humanity. That's one of those things that I grew up with. My father would have no devil machines in his house. So
yeah, it's why I never use cruise control.
Yeah,
I've never used cruise control.
Do you remember the story about when cruise control first came out?
No, I
Oh,
have not.
it's a urban legend. There was at least in the big book of urban legends I used to have, this old man and old woman were getting this RV, and it had cruise control. And the old man said, "So what's this?" And he says, "Oh, it's cruise control." He's like, "So what does cruise control do?" He goes, "Oh, it's kind of like autopilot." So they
I
buy
can
the
see where
RV
this
so
is
they can
going.
travel around, and they're going on this cliff. And the old man sets the cruise control and goes to walk in the back and says, "I'm gonna go take a nap now," and they fly right off the cliff.
That is it. That ended exactly how I thought it would. You see, I don't trust cruise control because if the fuse fails, especially on my manual, ironically, yes, it does have cruise control. It only works when I'm in 5th gear. You know, I'm thinking, if it goes out, hell, I'm screwed. That's why I've never used cruise control.
I wonder if my Jeep Cherokee. I had a Jeep Cherokee Pioneer that was a 5-speed. It was a beauty too. I remember because I bought it off of this friend of mine who was a Marine, and it was so badly like maintained, for lack of a better term. The exhaust fell off of the thing. So
I got a funny story for you.
I was driving this thing with open headers, and oh my god, it sounded like an Apache helicopter coming down the street. They're driving, and it was great because it was up. This guy was a Marine, so he had this thing set to go fishing. So it was raised up, and it was on the big tires.
Oh
And so
no!
I'm driving, and yeah, the thing it was this mocha shit brown color, and it had like the black bumpers on it. And I would drive this thing around, and it had open headers, so you would hear this thing coming. It's like, and I remember it was around the holiday season, probably. Oh God, it's got to be at least 15 years ago. And I'm driving this thing, and I got pulled over twice by the same cop in the same afternoon. And he told me, I was friends with him though, and he told me, he comes up to me, he's like, I heard you from over, like he told me where he was. It was about a half a mile away. He's like, I heard you from over there because where I was coming from, I cut down and around, and I was coming up the canal next to, I was coming up the street next to the canal. So the noise of the exhaust was echoing. And he was down the other end. He was down by the main highway, and he heard me up over by the end where like the canal cuts into by the bay. So he heard me from the highway coming up over from by the bay, about a half a mile away, and he came around to chase me. And he told me, he said, I didn't know what the hell was going on. He came because what he thought was happening was he thought that somebody was drag racing in the canal. Like somebody in a paddle boat, like because there's no wake, so he was coming to try to catch the person. He's like, I thought somebody was coming through in a super boat, like with the rooster tail, because I heard that loud noise.
Oh, that is so bad. So
it was so much fun.
On the exhaust thing, when I was a kid, my dad used to have this old Omni. God, this thing was so resilient. We got the back driver's side door got hit by a truck, and the truck was actually more damaged than the car was. It was hilarious. All we had to do was replace the door. Anyway, so we were going to, I think, the lawyer's office or something like that. Anyway, so we're driving down the street, and we pass under this stoplight, and we hear this clang, and my dad goes, shit. Anyway, so we pull into the parking lot, and I don't remember exactly why I did this. I think I stubbed my toe or something, but as soon as we walked in, I went, shit. I still remember that clearly. I just remember the muffler falling off. Just like falling, just like dropping and dragging.
My brother was notorious for launching mufflers. My father used to scream at him because he would lose them at least once every 2 weeks.
Check this out. Okay, my mom has 5 acres of land. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm driving her fucking, I think it was a 92 Crown Vic, Ford Crown Victoria, right? Well, we had just cut down one of the, our satellites we don't use. And it was nothing, just
Pleasure.
probably good 3-4 inch part like left of the metal pipe. Well,
no.
I forgot that it was there because when you're in the car, you can't see it. Like I couldn't see over the hood, and
Yeah.
I drove across it, and it
Oh,
caught
no.
the fucking muffler, and it ripped it off. So my mom had fucking straight pipes on her fucking car. She had to spend like $200 and some to get her fucking muffler put back on.
Just get a welding torch. That's why I have one in my. That's why I have one in my garage. Something falls off, I just weld it back on.
I totally forgot that it was there, and I did. I drove right over, and it caught the damn muffler, and it pulled it right off. And well, my mom had straight pipes on her car.
Man, that Ford sounds like it has straight pipes. I haven't looked under the back of it yet. That sucker sounds it has straight pipes though. I stuck it in first gear and I went vroom. That thing has so much torque on it though. You add a little bit of gas in first gear and it goes, and the back tires just spin before it actually catches. It just goes.
There was a guy in my neighborhood, and his Bronco that he had was famous. And this guy I knew around the corner bought it and put it into the ground. But before he bought it and put it into the ground, this thing was a beauty. It had a 351 Windsor under the hood. I'm pretty sure this thing was bought 60 over. It was complete MSD across the board, Nettle Rock. And he had this thing, he had the headers going out, but instead of it going into regular straight pipes, he had replaced the straight pipes with glass packs. The glass packs were going into the chamber. It was an H, so it was going into the chambers. So he had the glass packs feeding into the chambers, and then out of the chambers, instead of feeding into regular mufflers, he had this thing feeding into cherry bombs. This thing was a beast. He had a blower on this thing, but it was one of the ones where it was a recessed blower, so he had the scoop built into the hood. So it had the metal wrap around the cowl, so it basically, you didn't know that it had the blower there unless you actually went and like look and stuck your head in there like, oh shit, there's a blower in this thing. Oh my god, it was beautiful. He had when my friend bought the thing, the first thing he did to it was he put two solar barrack boxes in the back of this thing with two 12-inch woofers in it, and he put the mids all around the thing at 6x9s. Oh, it was beautiful. The sound system he put in this thing. It was all Phoenix gold wiring, and I want to say that he went. I'm pretty sure the speakers were. Yeah, that's right. The speakers were JBL, but the amplifiers were Kenwood. And it was just a beautiful setup, man. It really was. He'd start playing Enter Sandman in this thing. Holy shit! You'd see people like they just start like getting out of the way because he'd be coming down the road, and you'd hear this thing roar, and then you'd hear that music playing, and it used to scare the fuck out of people.
Sounds like my kind of car.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, this is the guy. Like everyone in the neighborhood, like a few of the people, who were hoity-toity and well-to-do, used to make fun of this guy because they're like, what would you do if you had $1 million? He's like, if I had $1 million, I'd hook the fuck up out my Bronco. You got no idea. I'd trick that thing out like you wouldn't believe. And they're like, you wouldn't buy like a Lamborghini or something? He's like, fuck no. I got a Bronco. What do I want a Lamborghini for?
Exactly.
And they were laughing, and I'm like, you see, you're laughing because you don't understand it. You don't got that mentality. Fuck wants,
I mean, a Lamborghini, you're going to want to speed in that thing. I mean, there was a story about this guy. He won this Lamborghini. I forget what model it was, but it was a Lamborghini. And he had this thing barely, I think it was barely 10 hours, and he was, speeding in this thing. It was going like 130, and he literally drove this thing into a telephone pole.
That'll do it to it.
It's like, really? You win this nice car, and you drive it into a telephone pole, and you barely had it like 10 hours?
And conversely, on the other side of that coin, the same buddy of mine had that Bronco. And what he was doing was he was being a dickhead, because this is what this guy was doing. So they were driving around in the Bronco, taking bong rips during the blizzard. And they were, this is the shit that the city boys do, by the way. We do the dangerous shit. Like, let's go drive around in a blizzard in the most crowded place on earth, smoking water bongs in a Bronco. So this is what the guys were out doing that day. And so they were blasting through snowdrifts at top speed. And so he goes to blast through one of the snowdrifts. He told me, he's like, and all of a sudden, he's like, and I jerk forward and back. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, and all of a sudden, I look on the other side of the snowdrift, and out comes bouncing a Volkswagen Beetle. I'm like, what did you do? He's like, no. He's like, I shrugged. He's like, the snow looked like it protected it enough. I went about on my merry way. He just kept blasting through the drifts. I'm like, okay. I told him, I'm like, you stupid prick. You're lucky you didn't. This is the same guy. We watched this same guy do a 3-point turn and just completely crunch a stop sign. Just rolled the fucker right into the ground like it was nothing. We're like, holy shit, bro, you just took out that stop sign. He's like, what? I was doing a 3-point turn. Like, yeah, but most people, they try to keep it in the streets. Oh man, you gotta love Long Island rednecks. They are the best. They really are. This guy was something else.
You gotta love rednecks, period.
Yeah, but there's a special breed around here. You gotta be like of a certain mentality to live like the country lifestyle in a place where you got nearly 6,000 people per square mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, like this guy was a real trip, and
I can't believe he.
Oh yeah,
A Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, this guy was notorious for that. He was a legend in the neighborhood. If you went and asked anybody about Bronco Brian, they would tell you stories about this guy. One of the things that he did, I wasn't present in the Bronco for this. I seen it happen though, from like down the street. This asshole's just walking, and here he comes down the street, and he had all the mirrors set up like on the side doors. He had like mirrors that he did overkill mirrors. You don't need all of these mirrors, but he had like a mirror for a big rig. And I think he was towing something. He was towing something that day. So if for whatever reason, the big rig mirrors, he had them turned sideways. So he's driving, and there's this guy walking, and this guy doesn't see it, and whacker right in the forehead. He goes down for the tea kettle, does one tumble, and lays right on his back, sprawled out on the ground.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, it was fun watching this guy work. I remember once he came to my house, and my father sat there. He's like, "This kid's a fucking moron," because he's coming down, and my neighbor had railroad ties in front of the house, and this guy's coming, and he hits him with the tires, and he's just driving. It doesn't veer off once he hits him, and you just see him like this in the Bronco, because the thing is going like this and just completely macking these railroad ties, just pushing them into the ground. And my father's just sitting there shaking the head. Is he getting in the car with this asshole? I'm like, well, look, the Bronco just survived that. I think I'm good, Dad. It's like a tank.
Yeah, that's an accurate description.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those Broncos are built really well.
Yeah, they really are. I've seen them get put through some endurance. Holy shit. Broncos and Jeeps. A lot of people don't realize the shit that, like you can put a Jeep through. Wow,
I know.
I've seen some shit, man. Like, people like to play with their fucking Jeeps. I'll give them credit. Like, a lot of people don't.
Well, I mean, the newer Jeeps are kind of more showy, so they're a little less durable. But the older ones, oh my god, you can put those through so much shit.
Yeah, buddy of mine has a CJ7. Oof. It's a honey. It's a honey. What he does to that thing. I was in the thing with him It was actually his brother's Bronco was the one I was talking about that he sold to this guy Bronco Bryan. So this was the other brother who had the Jeep. The one brother had the Jeep, the other brother had the Bronco. The guy with the Jeep, this guy, I think I told you about him. This is the lunatic that drove across 6 states just to see if the cops would get him. Same guy who was when my neighborhood got flooded. He was going around on a jet ski with the snorkel and mask, robbing the houses. The crazy bastard. He had this Jeep, and we would take it out to Democrat Point over by the. I think did we take it to? Yeah, we took it to the Sore Thumb also. And when you go over there, that's where everyone fishes. And this crazy son of a bitch, he had like an adrenaline addiction, and he's got this fucking Jeep, and we're driving up the side of this cliff, and I'm like, bro, this thing's gonna flip over. So no, don't worry, we're good. And sure enough, it starts to. Thank God he turned it at just the right time where it started to twist in the air. I thought I was gonna snap my neck because there's only a roll bar, there's no roof or anything.
Yeah.
Crazy shit, man. But I'm out there with this guy, and I mean, I drove with him at one point, and I even said to him, like, you're going to kill us. Because he, like, drove and goes flying off of a dune, and I'm like, holy shit, we're up in the air at this point. I mean, the fucking wheels are spinning, and you hear, like, because there's, like, you're in the fucking air. There's no sand for these things to grab. Crazy shit. You wouldn't think you could do something like that with a Jeep.
Never drive with an adrenaline junkie.
Nah, he was a snowboarder. Never drive with a snowboarder. That's what I tell people all the time. Anyone who goes flying through the air with wood strapped to their feet, that's somebody you don't want to be in the car with. That's just a rule of thumb.
Yeah, exactly. An adrenaline junkie.
Yeah. Ugh. Hey,
Never.
Tara, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Tara if she ever got in touch with Burnside. I just got this picture in my head of, Burnside dressed up like Saturday Night Fever, Conan O'Brien, out there cutting the rug on the dance floor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Burnside just strikes me as the type of guy who owns a green suit. I don't know why. I just see him as owning a green suit. Maybe it's the complexion. Who knows?
Suit.
Yeah, right. Seriously, I actually have a friend of mine, a Sicilian friend, and he's got this suit. It's this mustard colored suit.
Oh no.
It works on him. It works on him though. It's a beautiful suit. Beautiful.
I was sitting over here replying to you, and I forgot I had muted myself to call Burnside.
Oh, okay.
But I just called him. He actually hit the ignore button.
Oh, okay.
So he gets chewed out later.
Of course he does.
Someone's in trouble.
And no, he doesn't own a green suit. However, I'm going to make him in a suit out of purple satin. My aunt makes those sashes for graduates.
Mm-hmm.
She gonna make him a Joker suit.
Yep, I'm gonna make him a Joker suit. My aunt's giving me the scraps. So I don't have to pay a shitload of money for fucking satin.
Yeah. That shit's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never drive. The two people you don't want to drive with: adrenaline junkies and people who jump out of perfectly good airplanes.
Yeah.
Hey, Director, are you okay over there?
Oh, yes, just barely awake and largely being fueled by indignation at this point, as I have, well, you can probably...
Earlier, I saw you drinking out of some beakers, mixing a cocktail in your mouth.
Just try and drain the last of the vaguely alcoholic mix that fueled me earlier in this evening, and, well, I was hoping there'd be at least a little bit more left. The caffeine's gone, so I'm relying upon that and ignition to see me through the rest of this stream. I'm sorry if I haven't been terribly eloquent. There's been a bit of discussion in the background. But all's well. All will be well, for me at least.
Yeah. Damn thing crashed on me again. Fuck.
I just got a message from Pat. He went to a state I used to live in, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in that shithole?
What is he out traveling about?
Yeah, I think he was visiting his daughter.
Oh, very cool. Hey, Pat, if you're watching, Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you, man. Ugh. What is today? Is the 22nd? 3 more days and then this mess is over.
For you.
Yeah, Santa's gonna be still busy. Plus, there's Boxing Day too. The Canadians, those poor bastards.
Not what I meant.
Mm. Oh yeah.
I, I still got to deal with flying beer bottles.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then there's I'm not going out for. I'm not doing anything for New Year's. I'll tell you what I've done for New Year's the past couple of years. I usually go to bed about 8, 9 o'clock. I set the alarm clock for about 5 to 12, maybe 10 to 12. I get up. I have some of them small hot dogs. Give my wife a kiss. Wish her a happy New Year. Go find my mother. Give her a kiss on the forehead. Wish her a happy New Year. Find my dog. Give him a kiss on the forehead and wish him a happy New Year and go back to sleep. Or I might have more than little hot dogs and then go back to sleep. It depends. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That I summed up New Year's for you. I stopped watching New Year's once Dick Clark was dead. That's pretty much when it's not because he died. I gave up on New Year's. It's not like okay, I'm no more funny hats and noise blowers for Scooby. It's not like how it worked. It was just I'm gonna be 40 this spring. I'm not that interested. It's just it gets old. Going
Yeah.
out. Well, let's go out and get destroyed for snickered drunk in the middle of Manhattan, and oh yeah, this good millions of people there normally. Let's go there when there's now 10 times more, and they're all in some one spot. And yeah, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, and possibly get the riot police called.
Yeah, nah. No, I
No.
made it a point. I make it a point to get the fuck out of Manhattan. If for whatever reason I wind up on that godforsaken island on New Year's Eve, I make it a point to get the hell out of there. And I have had the unfortunate circumstance of getting actually, for whatever reason, I'm not going to start listing them, getting dragged into Manhattan on New Year's Eve because just like Monday, I'm probably going to wind up. It's Christmas Eve. I just got a feeling I'm going to wind up in Manhattan. I got a few things I got to do, and I'd like to get it done before the end of the holiday season and before the end of the new year, and the end of the year, rather. So I might have to go into Manhattan on fucking Christmas Eve. Lucky me.
Sympathies. I would note that I'm also probably in need of rest. I'm kind of running on fumes as it is. I would like to stress one boilerplate thing, which seems to have been mandated by certain unaddressed asshattery. Taking any amount of pride in one's sexual orientation or skin tone is sheer stupidity because it's entirely a matter of cosmic chance. You didn't choose it. It's just a thing that happened to you, which I thought was rather boilerplate, really. I mean, really, that's just silly. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently, this is an issue. Well,
And it's an issue for some people. I gave up on the point of that debate long ago because people will be people.
Yeah. I don't do identity politics myself. Unfortunately, if you're somebody that's willing to talk to somebody who identifies as identitarian just for the sake of conversation, well, then, well, you're identitarian. You deigned to talk to this person. Oh, God forbid. And God forbid again, if you actually do talk to any person who has views of that nature and you don't immediately call for their death. So again, that's just one of those things. So long story short, yeah, I'll talk to anyone of any political stripe if they're willing to have a conversation. I am a journalist. That's what I do. And I'm not going to immediately call for having them hung in the town square if they have a repugnant opinion. That makes me a bad person.
Let me edit the conversation thing for you, Scoob. I think you mean an intelligent conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. You're right. Yeah,
Because a simple conversation can turn bad very quickly. An intelligent conversation, however, it's pretty hard to turn that bad.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. I've talked to, in my life, in my walks of life, I've talked to white supremacists. I've talked to black supremacists. I've talked to white nationalists. I've talked to black nationalists. I've talked to white pride. I've talked to black pride. I've even talked to people of the brown persuasion. I know the Mexicans. I don't want to misspeak La Raza. If that's a nationalist, a supremacist group, I'm apologizing if it's not. You know, that's my whole point. Is I don't take notes of these people because I'm not that interested in them. I've just went and talked to them to see what makes them tick, out of just a morbid curiosity. Because you got a bunch of guys standing there screaming and yelling about their thing. Well, okay, let me find out what your thing is. That was a hot button topic a few months ago, so I went and talked to a few people that were available. That was it. That's what I do. And because I actually wound up striking up a friendship with one of these guys because it was outside of that realm of politics, I'd see the guy once in a while, talk to him, shoot the shit with him. Makes you a bad person. People got a problem with that. Whatever. I'll talk to anybody. I got a guy, I haven't talked to him too much because he lives on the other side of the planet, but there was a guy in my server. He's a communist. I don't particularly care for communists, but this guy I could talk to about the things, about communism. I could actually sit there and rap with this guy and not want to rip his throat out. So, I could have a civil, intelligent conversation with him. So, fuck it. I let him into the server. It's the same thing, you can't sit there and be a bastard. I mean, look, there was one point I was talking to furries on a regular basis, and a lot of people have problems with furries right now. I'm not going to throw judgment and shade at these people just because of their lifestyle choice.
Yeah,
That's my thing,
Yeah, exactly. You can't judge everyone on their lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
Judge them by their individuality.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't particularly agree at all with identity politics. I don't think that you should marginalize anyone because of the way that they look or the way that they speak or the way that they, from whatever persuasion they happen to come from. It's just not how you should judge a person. You judge them on the merits of their actions. You judge them on the content of their character. You judge them on what they produce as a person, for society, for their family, for themselves as a whole. That's how you judge a person. You judge them by how they conduct themselves. You don't sit there and look at a person and just sum them up when you haven't even heard them open their mouths and speak.
Judge them by their actions.
Yeah, exactly.
And by their deeds, Yeah,
exactly. Judge them by their actions and deeds.
It's one of these things. I'm sorry.
And do not believe first impressions. They are overrated.
I've been learning, and this is something I'll say to anybody: don't even go by second, third, and fourth impressions. You know what? Feel people out for a little while. Make it a learning experience.
Yeah, learn about them. Don't use the impressions. Actually get to know them before you draw your conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, factor those impressions into your conclusion. Yes, do that, but don't make it a defining factor.
Yeah.
Because if you make that a defining factor, everyone's going to look like an asshat.
Yeah. And just one real quick thing about this identity politics nonsense, because I'm getting sick of hearing this shit from people. My father, may he rest in peace. He was a Sicilian. I'm not too sure. I've said this in the past before. My family name is Spanish, and now for those of you people who get confused about this, the Mediterranean, there's a lot of island hopping going on. My father's family, from what I understand, Grandpa's family had come to Sicily by way of the Iberian Peninsula, by way of Hispaniola. Specifically, I believe they were Portuguese. Portugal is on the side of the Iberian Peninsula. You guys can break out your maps and look at that. Grandma's family, from what I understand, was from no, I'm sorry. Actually, I take that back. I think actually Grandpa's family, they had made it from at this point from Portugal to Morocco, because I remember now because Grandma's family was also they were from Tunisia, and both sides of the family went to Sicily after the famine hit Sicily. I believe it was in the 1830s, and the land opened up, and that's how my family came from Sicily, uh, eventually to America. That was how they worked with that. Um, and then there's my sister's husband. He was, he's Jordanian, so my sister's children are all half Arab, and my one nephew, his wife is an Albanian Muslim, and I got my two sister-in-laws. They are literally Harley riding bull dykes. And I'm saying this all for a reason. I'd like somebody to point out at any point where I would show any marginalization by talking about these folks. That's my thing. Like this is just my immediate family. I'm talking about that. There's already diversity right there. I'm not even talking about friends, my neighborhood. So my thing is this: these people want to come at me with this identity politics nonsense, and they want to talk this horse shit about white supremacy and Nazis and this, that, and the third. You know what? I'd really like to see it proven and shown to me at this point. And I'm sure that people are going to cut and snip and put all sorts of wonderful shit together. And at this point, just blow it out your ass. Anything you're going to produce, I don't even care. I'm not even going to entertain you at this point. This is silly nonsense. You're wasting my time, wasting everyone else's time. I now just had to spend about 6 minutes addressing this fucking stupidity. I made this very, very clear. If I had any problem with anybody, identity-wise, I think that anyone who's watching me at this point would notice. I would have no problem fucking saying it. So, ain't anything I'm hiding. If that's what you're thinking, you're barking up the wrong tree, brother. Because, nah, I ain't gonna hide something. If I got a problem with somebody, I say it. So, enough with this identity politics nonsense, because I don't do that. Nah, I don't marginalize.
I have feeling it's not about the words being used anyway.
You know what the sad thing is? There's nothing you can do to tell people. I mean, they're gonna sit there and they're gonna paint you with this stupid brush, and it's damned if you do. Like, okay, so you don't want to talk to people, you don't want to know exactly what their agenda is, you don't want to, that's the thing. They get annoyed because I sit there and I talk to these people and I ask them why they say, you want to be a guest? I'm like, yeah, I'll be on your stream, yeah, I'll talk to you. And we sit there and we talk, and you know what? I'll go on to their stream and I'll tell them right off the bat, I don't agree with your ideology. I believe this. I don't see anybody else doing that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but if these people are going to sit here and call me out and say shit, well, then why don't they do the same thing as me? Get up, go talk to these people yourselves then. Have the fucking moxie. Seriously.
One of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. I mean,
yeah.
Look,
I'll say this right now. If anyone can find any black supremacists, because I didn't really look for any of them, but if anyone can find any, I'll talk to them. Seriously, you want put your money where your mouth is, Scoob. Okay, send me the information. I'll talk to a black supremacist. I'll do it sometime this week if I can. Well, no, it's the holidays. I'll do it sometime in January. I'll talk to the guy or girl. I'll talk to him. I'll entertain. I'll rap with them. I got no problem doing that. This is what I do. If I have shitty equipment right now. That's part of the reason I really haven't been doing too much shit. But fuck it. I'll try to accommodate people if they want to see that. I got no problem with that. That's my thing. Getting a headache.
So on a note,
that's why Advil was invented.
Yeah. No, I still got the flu. I wasn't even going to come on tonight, but I wanted to see all you guys because I might not see you because of Christmas, so I want to hop on.
Director Arthur, you were saying something?
Sorry, I cut you off.
Honestly, I've actually forgotten it already. Again, I am just barely conscious at this point.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
You just winging it.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my head upright a bit better this time, but it's roughly the same state.
It's okay.
Oh, God
it's all good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I've been fighting.
It's better than being so wired you're tripping up on your words.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing.
Yeah, I'd rather be wired right now. I feel like somebody beat the shit out of me, you know, where your head feels heavy and everything feels like you're moving through water. I got that, just the most severe freaking.
You
I'm
feel
not
like
getting the food proper.
beating the shit out of you. Told Peaches to stop putting her hair in a ponytail.
Yeah, you
I
know,
see how thick that shit is.
yeah, but you know what it is. Well, she's asleep right now, thank God, or she'd be nagging for me to do shit. But the thing of it is, it's just she came home because she takes care of those 4 kids, and she brought home like 4 different strains of flu with her. And yeah, there's only so much my immune system can take. So right now, I'm not like sick with the flu, but I'm worn out, like just dead on my feet.
Like, why did you bring the petri dish home with you?
I know. I told her I wish I had the money coming in. I just rent her like a hotel room over by the Motel 6 and pay for the Uber every day to drive her back and forth to a freaking job. That way I don't have to catch anything from her.
but when she comes home, she'll still have like. There's a chance that
That's
she'll
why I was
still
going to
have.
pay for the hotel room. I wasn't going to let her home. I was going to let her stay at the hotel until the spring. I just don't got the money for it. I don't got the money for it. I'll wait till cold and flu season's over. But
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be cold or flu season. You can get that shit anytime.
damn, I'm going to have to banish her then.
Banish her to the shadow realm. Oh, poor Peaches.
Now
Oh,
returns from the shadow realm.
oh God.
Of course, I prefer the Phantom Zone myself.
Yeah, right. That was the best part of that whole movie. Them flipping away like that in the picture frame scared the shit out of me. I was scared of windows when I was a kid for a little while because of that movie.
Yeah, speaking of movies, I watched Mortal Engines today.
How was it?
Amazing.
Nice.
When it came to that movie of fucking Superman, my mom had gotten the one from the rental store that was in 3D.
Oh,
nice.
So you had Superman flying at you, and when the thing did that flippy thing, I was like,
ah!
I'll tell you what movie I can't stand. That's fucking Puppet Master.
Oh, I love the Puppet Master
Fuck
movie.
that movie. I fucking hate that movie. Fuck that.
Have y'all ever read Pet Sematary by Stephen King?
Yes.
Yeah.
They made a movie out of it.
I actually love that movie.
No, they're making a new movie.
Oh, they are?
Oh.
Yeah, Pet Sematary, except it's with an S.
Yeah, I saw previews for that.
Yeah, I saw the previews today while I was in the movie theater. I was like, that.
They need to leave it alone.
Awesome.
A classic is a classic. They just need to leave that shit alone.
I prefer the book over the movie. The movie they made back in what, the 90s, 80s?
Yeah, it was the 90s.
90s.
Well, first one was 80s. Second one was 90s because it had a young Edward Furlong in it. He didn't look like he was heroin.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't keep track of when movies were made. It's like, hey, I watched this movie way back when. But I prefer the books over anything. Honestly, I haven't even watched The Dark Tower yet. And I don't think I ever will.
I've read a short story of it. I want to get the entire fucking series.
The series, oh my god. You will not be able to put the book down.
Well, first I have to finish reading the Mortal Instrument books. I read the first Mortal Instruments. I read what is it? The next series where it's like in the 1800s. Infernal Devices is what it's called. And then I read what is it? The Bane Chronicles. I have Lady Midnight, so I have to read that. And then there's the series with that one, and then there's the Shadowhunter Academy series where it follows Simon.
Oh,
You guys read all the same books as my mother and my sister. She reads all those Ed McBain novels.
Those aren't Ed McBain's; those are Cassandra Clare.
yeah. What I really need to get back is my Lost Fleet novels. Those are good books.
What was it? Well, I'm talking about Ed McBain, the detective. You know the ones I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, they started. My sister and my mother would both read all them true crime books, and then they started off on like Stephen King and Dean Koontz and that sort of shit, and then they moved on to the true crime. And
That's the shit my mom used to read.
yeah, I'm not interested in that true crime shit. I told them all the time. I go, I know so many sick assholes. Why would I want to read books about them?
When
I know, right?
when I was younger, I knew how to read. I just didn't like reading. I was on a higher reading level than most other kids. I just didn't find any books interesting. And my mom always read these true crime novels or, fantasy crime novels. Not fantasy, but non fictional.
Non-fiction. Yeah, fictional.
And so one day I'm at the book fair and I had
I love those.
some money for a book or whatever the hell I wanted. And I come across this R.L. Stine book. I picked it up and I read the back, and then I read the little insert that it usually has on the first page as soon as you open it. And I grabbed it and I'm like, I want to buy this. And they're like, because mind you, I'm in the 3rd grade at the time. And they're like, oh, this isn't for your reading level. This is for the 5th graders. And I'm like, but I want to buy this.
It's like, yeah.
And they're like, we don't think it's for your age range. So it literally end up in the principal's office. And he's like, I need to call your mom. I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah.
My mom's going to tell you to let me buy it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
and
like,
so they put my mom on speakerphone. And they're like, Mrs. Sin? And they're like, she's like, yeah. Your daughter's here and she wants to buy this book that actually has like blood, guts, and gore in it. And she's like, she wants to buy what? She wants to buy a book that has blood, guts, and gore in it. My mom's like, what's the name of it? Broken Hearts. It's an R.L. Stine super thriller. She goes, wait, it's a book other than the collection of fairy tales that she has that she wants to read? Because that's the only other books I read were, like Grimm's fairy tales and stuff like that.
yeah.
And they're like, yeah. She's like, and she does like some of the pictures if they're drawn right. Are there pictures in it? They go, principal flips through the book. No. Let her buy the fucking book.
Nice.
And he's like, okay. So, I go back, I pay for it. And I had enough to get a bookmark. So my bookmark, I had it for years. I wish I knew where it went. If any of you guys can find it for me, send it to me. It had Garfield on it with a book, and he was slamming Odie's nose in it, and it said, get your face out of my place.
Nice.
I love Garfield. That was one of my favorite comic strips, along with Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I had both of the. I got all of those Garfield books when I was younger. I'm trying to get the big collected editions. And a friend of mine was like, he said, "Oh, what are you, Peter Griffin? You got all the Garfield books?" I said, "No, Peter Griffin has the whole collection. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to work on it, though."
My aunt had a collection of Garfield books, including one of the very first books put together.
Yeah.
And I decided one day I was going, because they were, some of them were in color, they were inked, and some weren't. I decided I was going to use colored pencil and fill it in.
I have a Calvin and Hobbes book. That was one of my favorite comic strips because Calvin was just this super imaginative kid, and he had this stuffed tiger, and you know, he didn't act like a tiger. He was just this. He acted kind of like Tigger.
Tap tap.
Yeah.
TTFN.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, they would always get into trouble over something or another. Calvin would ask his mom one thing or another. Could he do this? Could he do that? She would say no. He would come back to Hobbs. Hobbs would ask him, so what'd she say? Calvin would go, no. And then they'd do it anyway. Or they'd find something else to do. So I love that comic strip.
Okay, we have 5 minutes till. So we're going to go ahead and do shilling. From my left, our special guest director, Arcater. What the hell just happened?
All right.
Director.
There we go. Damn it.
Sorry, I
Thing
just
dropped
got.
out on me again.
Yeah, I got kicked from the call too.
Yeah, what happened?
I
don't
have no
know.
fucking clue. Give me just a second.
All right.
Let me check, make sure the stream is still going.
Fucking Russian hackers. Nah, it is. It's still live. It says it right there.
Okay. Director,
Yes? Totally sorry.
go ahead and shill. We're getting ready to call it.
Oh, I've actually forgotten to prepare anything whatsoever. Just search YouTube for Director Arcater. You'll find something in mine, I'm sure. Terribly sorry.
Oh.
Well, if you search Arcater, you might get some belly dancing videos. That's not me. You would probably notice.
Is that Mrs. Arcater?
Actually, I can't remember what the women looked like in that video, or else I might want to claim that. But probably
All right, Queenie the Dick Doxer.
I'm Queenie the Dick Doxer of South. You can find me here on YouTube or on Discord. And yeah, that's about it.
Scooby 331.
How you guys doing? You know the deal. I'm Scooby331. You can follow me here on YouTube. I am on minds.com, Gab AI. I have a Patreon and a PayPal. It would be very cool if you could, if any donations you guys could kick my way, you could. I'm trying to get better equipment so I don't keep getting dropped from calls and whatnot. And I have an Instagram. I don't know how to work the thing, so there's nothing up there. So you can look, but ain't nothing there. And yeah, Christmas Eve, I'm probably going to be, I don't want to be, but I'm probably going to be in Manhattan. So I'm going to try to see if I can maybe get some footage of Manhattan. So on Christmas Eve. So yeah, that's what I got cooking right now. So that's me, and that's what I got.
Okay, and this is the Burnside Film Project. Again, Burnside was out getting fucking sloshed, which he will hear about it later. Like at 2 a.m. when he calls me saying, I love you, and I go, you're a fucker. You can find him on Twitter, Discord, Minds, and Gab AI. Nope, not Minds. So, yeah, thank you for showing up, and have a good night, motherfuckers.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.